from Buffalo Wild Wings on 6th Street in Brookings. Welcome to Benchwarmers. Today's featured guests are South Dakota State University's Associate Athletic Director of Media, Tyler Merriam. South Dakota State football head coach, John Stiegelmeier. South Dakota State men's basketball assistant coach, Eric Henderson. And our host, Midco Sports Network's Tom Nieman.
Hello, welcome again to Benchwarmers here at Buffalo Wild Wings in Brookings, South Dakota this week, and home of the Jackrabbits. We are loaded this week. It's almost time to get the fall seasons going. Talk some football with Coach Stig, some men's hoop with Coach Henderson. Tyler's about ready to get his lips going to call all the action, and it's going to be fun. School starts next Monday, and it's time to get going. Stig, you were out kind of talking in Redfield today. You get out and talk to people about the upcoming season. What's the message right now? What are you putting out there about the football team this year?
Well, we're excited. Higher expectations than we've ever had. It's just get to the stadium and watch us play. Get great home schedule. It's going to be a special year. I just want to comment on Tyler's lips are always ready to go. He is always talking.
That's true.
Let's not.
I resemble that remark.
It's not a time of year thing, but Tyler, when you're out, you're home and peer. You're out talking to people in Brookings or anywhere you're at. What do they want to know about the upcoming football season?
Well, they want to know just how good these offensive guys are, and can they possibly do what they did a year ago, which is scary to think about the possibility of them replicating some of those numbers. But you talk about all these guys back on offense, then you talk about some of those pieces on defense. People forget Christian Rosaboom's a guy who was second in the National Freshman of the Year award voting by 1 point. They're excited to see what the next level can be. It's come a long way. Stig and I talk a lot about that, and yet it's on the cusp of even something that much bigger.
Yeah, defensively, people are always questioning the defense, especially with the offensive guys you get coming back. But you talk about expectations. We've been talking about higher expectations 4 years ago and 3 years ago, and it just keeps getting higher and higher. Are you in danger maybe this year of playing some communist football? Stig's got a term for college football nowadays where you spread it out and you throw it all over the place. And with Taryn Christian and Dallas Goddard and Jake Winicky and the great offense you have, are you in danger of doing a little bit of that?
We've delved into a little bit of communist football every year, but my preference is 2 tight ends, running back, play action pass, throw the ball up to Winicky or Goddard like Tyler was talking about. We're going to try to do what we can to win the game. And let's go back to the defense.
Yes.
Kellen Sulik is one of the top defensive linemen in the conference. We've got 2 starting senior safeties back. We've got a starting cornerback, 2 starting corners back, and we've got a bunch of young guys. We got to just get the call in on time and let those guys play. That's the best thing about defense. Just get it in, they adjust, let them play. And they've done well this fall camp already.
Talk about the linebackers. You talk about Rosaboom. Eric Kleinschmidt's another guy that's a redshirt freshman. You got Logan Backus as a redshirt freshman. There's these younger guys, and we keep talking about this every year, that can come in and play as young guys and play at a high level, right? And
at linebacker, that's really hard because there's a lot of moving parts. We are going to pull 2 freshman red shirts at linebacker this year. Seven Wilson, Noah Urbanic, really good players. Our depth isn't great there, so we're going to get them in special teams, and they'll impact the season.
All right, and exciting. Talk about the defensive line a little bit. People keep questioning, can you get a pass rush? Who's going to replace Langer and Shane Gottlob, these guys on the defensive line?
Well, we lost a guy. Blake Witzel was going to start for us a defensive tackle, and he's done for his career, so we're going to pull a redshirt freshman there too, or a redshirt on a freshman. I don't know if we have, other than Kellen, a guy that's a dominating player, but again, a defensive line, you just need to do your job. Chase Kern at defensive end, Ryan Arith at defensive end, those are really good football players that when they do their job, other people just fill in the holes.
All right, talk about this. You hear a lot about process and sticking with the program and the culture of your program. And Hendo, you can talk about this in the basketball program as well, but it's going to be your 21st year coaching as the head coach here at South Dakota State. I don't think you've changed hardly anything in those 20 years prior to this, have you? Talk about the program and the culture and the process of just come in, do your job, and you talk about these, we think they're cliches, but it's things that you have to learn and you have to live by.
Well, first of all, I go on record, I am the most boring head football coach in America because of what you're talking about. Because I believe in certain things, we believe in certain things, and they become part of our culture. We talk about making a difference. Forget football. Make a difference. Have a positive impact on the people you're around. We talk about leaving nothing to chance, meaning nutrition, flexibility, sleep, go to class, take notes, all those things. Do everything to the max. We create a family. You know, when I ask the seniors when they leave, I say, what are the secrets to a championship? They never say 40 time. They never say bench press. They never say communist football. They say, love your brother. Right? I play hard because I love these guys, and that happens in our family. Last night, our players went to the homes of their assistant coaches. And so the linebackers went with Coach Rogers and so on, and they didn't talk about football, I guarantee you. They talked about, number one, the food, and then just relationships.
And it is family, and if you can do all of those things you talked about and then bring in these players like you have brought in for the last 5 or 6 years that are just so talented, then you've really got something where you can win 10 games, where you can talk about a national champion.
Well, we're in a business where you got to get better every year, right?
There's no doubt.
You win 10, you got to win 11. You got to go further in the playoffs. I mean, that's the nature of our business. And so we just try to keep, here, I'll give you an example. I put down as one of our goals for fall camp, top 4 seed mentality. You know, think of yourselves like that. The seniors called me out. They said, that's not good enough, coach. They said have a top 2 seed mentality. So those are the kind of kids I'm blessed to be around. That's part of our culture.
All right. Henry, just touch on that for basketball as well. I know you pick up on.
Yeah, it was pretty cool and pretty special because, I follow all the, Coach Stig's assistants on Twitter, and watching those tweets go out last night about all their, having those guys at their house. And what I really enjoy is, because I have young kids like many of them, and having those kids sit on those players' laps. But I think you being here 21 years, Stiggs, is pretty special, and that not only carries over from the football, but really the entire athletic program and just the tradition basketball-wise. It's pretty special. So what you've done is pretty kudos to you, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk a little bit more football a little bit later. We're going to talk about some men's basketball, talk about expectations. What's it going to be for South Dakota State's men's Jackrabbit basketball team this year? We'll talk about that with Coach Henderson when we come back.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers here, Buffalo Wild Wings in Brookings, South Dakota. And let's talk some men's basketball, Jackrabbit men's basketball with assistant coach Eric Henderson, and talk about your relationship. This will be your second season. Came in last year with new head coach TJ Otzelberger. And you guys go back to Iowa State, I believe, at some point is where you guys got together the first time. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Tom. We got together at Iowa State probably about 8 years ago when Greg McDermott took over the head coaching job. I played for Greg at Wayne State, many years ago. But and that's where we first got to meet when TJ was an assistant coach and I was a GA at Iowa State. And then just, I ended up coaching high school for 5 years and always talked about getting back into it with when TJ, got his head job working with TJ and being at North Dakota State and coming to South Dakota State, he ended up getting a South Dakota State job, and it was like, TJ, you don't know how hard this is, but I'm in. We're in it together, man. So it was pretty cool. Right. But it was a great, it was a unique and great first year. Obviously, the ending was certainly something special, but it was a lot of fun.
He is a guy that can be fiery when he's off the court, and you don't really see him coaching, but he's just ice when he's on the sideline. And Tyler, talking a little bit about this too. You know what I'm talking about, but he's kind of he's gotten to where he's almost trying to be head coach like on the sideline. Is this true?
He changed as the year went along, didn't he?
A little bit, yeah.
That's a fact. That's a fact. He is. By nature, he's a high energy. Yes. Very positive guy, and it really was awesome. Tyler, as you would probably attest, just how he matured and grew throughout the year. Much like our team, as you guys are well aware, but the way he was at the end of the year and how calm he was, especially during some tense moments, was pretty remarkable. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's been something. It's been kind of a transformation.
Oh, no question. I mean, you go back to, I think of the first weekend of conference season and late in that NDSU game, how he didn't get a technical was remarkable, running out on the floor. But then he was so stoic at the end of that USD semifinal, which was a contrast in the two sidelines. And you look at the free throw numbers, you can't help but wonder if that wasn't part of it too when it got down to it. The way he was down the stretch was a big reason in that team's turnaround.
You kind of have
talked about it a lot, yeah.
Stig, don't you have to learn how to become the head coach and be the guy that's cool, calm, and collected most of the time?
Every new situation you're in, you have to learn, whether it's marriage or a job or whatever. I mean, it's a part of the process. And And I thought he was maybe sedated at the end of the season. But,
we maybe did a little bit of that, but that was under the radar.
I got. I'm going to be the interviewer for a second.
Yeah.
You talked all about how bad we are on defense. What about that zone? No, I'm just kidding.
I appreciate you bringing that up, Stig. I appreciate that.
Kidding.
We evolved.
All I heard about, I said, why are you asking those questions? So.
Yeah.
It was incredible though. That season came together last year.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and you know, obviously there was a lot of adjustments and a lot of times, a lot of new guys, but honestly, a lot of the credit goes to our guys for sticking with the process. Certainly with us as a new coaching staff, it made you feel so good at the end because of the adversity that we went through at the beginning, and it just made it that much more special. So it was certainly unique. There's no doubt about that.
Nobody ever questions you on what kind of defense you're playing?
All the time.
Exactly,
but that's a great point. That's a great point because here's this team that inherits a bunch of new coaches and different philosophies, different ways to communicate, and that is a process. And a credit to you guys sticking with it, and those guys adapting and keep raising the bar. Then, right?
Hey, never satisfied.
That's right.
There's a good base coming back. You got Skylar Flatten, Reed Tellinghusen, Mike Dahm, Ian Tyson. There's basically eight guys coming back, and then some newcomers. Talk about maybe two guys we'll see: Brandon Key, Dallas Polk-Hilliard, a couple of junior college guys that are coming in.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, situation that we have, because you're right, Tom. We have a bunch of guys that are coming back with a lot of experience, and then we bring in 7 new guys, and obviously losing Michael Orris, who played the point guard for us primarily at the end of the year. Brandon Key's going to be a big part of what we're doing this year, and Brandon, is originally a Milwaukee kid that plays extremely fast. Likes to play up tempo, can get to the basket, and really is a pass first kind of guy, and so that's really exciting. And we're gonna there's gonna be an adjustment period of how how he adapts with our new guys, like there was last year, and our returning guys, because at the end of the day we still got to play through Mike. And Mike's got to touch the ball, and sometimes we got to make sure Brandon's not playing too fast for Mike. That we get touches for Mike in the half court. So it's going to be fun, But Brandon's going to be certainly a guy that, a new guy that people can look for to make a big impact for us this year. And then Dallas Polk-Hilliard is another Milwaukee kid who is down at Cochise Community College in Arizona and plays with a great motor. Probably one of our more athletic kids. Can really defend, rebounds the basketball, is working on his perimeter game a little bit. But those are two guys that you'll recognize this year. And then a true freshman that will probably more than likely play is David Jenkins, the kid out of Tacoma, Washington, who played a prep year at Cheapers in Kansas, and really is an elite scorer. He has to work on the other side of the floor as well right now, but he can really put the basketball in the basket. And at the end of the day, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, TJ, I think, loves guys that can play but can score. And what's one big thing you're looking forward to in men's hoops this year?
Well, I think the interesting thing beyond the schedule, there's some great games on there, obviously, in the non-conference, but it's similar to what we've talked about with football with the Winnickes and the Christians of the world. It's how guys like a Mike Dahm, it would be easy for him to be divisive for a lot of teams because he's the guy getting so much attention, and yet he's not that way, and everybody rallies around him. That's a big part of football success, is how they rally behind those stars. The same way here, those are good individuals, and how they are leaders as well as how they play is so important.
Yeah, the Dom Key dynamic is going to be fun to watch, and men's basketball not that far off. Again, they come back next week and get going here in this as we get ready for the season. Coach Henderson has a beef with Little League Baseball, and we're going to talk about that and what is the right age for kids to kind of give up playing just for fun and getting serious about things. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers. Let's talk about Little League Baseball. The Sioux Falls Little League team is on its way to Williamsport for the Little League World Series. Have you been watching this, and is this cool? There's some people that say, well, these kids shouldn't be on TV and they're pushing them too hard. I love watching it. Have you been watching?
I've been watching. I watched the championship game of the regional when they got in. Certainly there is a level where you could potentially exploit them, but I think it is done the right way. You know, when you see the lessons that are learned and you see when the coaches are mic'd up and some of the things they say in their visits to the mound and whatnot, you understand why this is being done. And I've never been to the event, but I've heard it's just so cool up there in Williamsport.
All right, Andrew's got, I said an issue with Little League Baseball, but just in general, when should kids be in it just for fun? And we're just specifically about baseball. Let's talk about that. When should it just be all about fun? And when should it start to get a little serious and we got to play by the rules? When should that start?
This kind of touches at my heart. I have an 8-year-old guy, so we were talking about this beforehand, but you know, it's really important. First and foremost, Tyler and I were talking before, and number one, have fun. He's 8 years old. You know, that was my number one goal. But my number two is learn those fundamentals of the game. And I think what we started talking about was this 3 outs. Should everybody bat during the same inning, or should there be 3 outs like a game of baseball and move on? And for me, I decided I'd rather see the 3 outs and let's move on, and it gets things going a little quicker, because also I've seen too many times, you know, those dandelions in those outfields on that maybe the 7th or 8th batter. I see about 5 or 6 kids looking at that dandelion out there saying, that's a pretty cute dandelion.
I'm guessing even some of the parents lose their concentration.
Maybe.
Things like that.
Yeah. What about in football? You see these kids starting to play at 8, 9, 10 years old. Maybe not quite that young, but about around that age. What should it be when they first start?
I think sports should always be fun. You know, I think at our level, we talk about it all the time. It's a game. It's got to be fun. Now, the hard work is hard work, and it's a grind, and the conditioning, all that stuff. But if you're not enjoying it, and so I love it when if the coach go back to the youth football. Yep. If the coach has it in perspective, I think it's a great opportunity to build a kid's self-esteem, to get him excited about something, and maybe find a passion he never thought he had.
It's kind of a catch-22 in some cases, where you draw that line, I guess, and that's kind of what you're talking about, right, Ann?
Yeah. There's no doubt. I agree with you. There is. At the end of the day, they have to have fun, and it is a catch-22. There has to be some line in the sand though of where they start learning the rules and stuff like that, and that's why we had started this conversation.
All right. When we come back, we've got our Winging It question of the week, and we'll talk a little bit later coming up about our football schedule here on Midco Sports Network. It's going to be fabulous, including the Jackrabbits here at home, so we got that still coming up on Benchwarmers.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers here at Buffalo Wild Wings. Time for our Winging It question of the week. And for that, here's Carla Metz.
Thanks, Tom. I'm here with Andrew Leidy from Brookings, South Dakota. And with football season right around the corner, he has a question pertaining to that.
What is your favorite part about getting ready for the beginning of the season?
All right, thanks so much, Andrew. Let's see what the panel thinks.
All right, Andrew wants to know what you guys look most forward to at the beginning of a new season.
I look forward to the guys coming back, the relationships that are so strong at that point, and the hard work. I really do, and obviously the anticipation of the first game.
All right, Ed?
Yeah, similar to the relationships, it's pretty fun to watch, especially those returning guys, how those new guys adapt with them and how they bring them into the program and how they're learning the culture and that family atmosphere that kind of Stig was talking about earlier. That's probably the most exciting thing to watch. And, when those, young, fresh guys, figure something out for, the first time, it's pretty special. And that's why we do what we do.
Todd?
Well, obviously, you and I are in a different position than these two, but I think you would agree with me. We do this for the events. And while the summer for me is fun to an extent, it's nice to get back going where everybody's back on campus. You get that feel again. You get to have the events again. You get to see how these kids have matured from last year to this year. That's one of the things I look most forward to this time of year.
I love the preparation, just getting to know the kids and seeing who's going to emerge, and like you said, who's going to step up and be the next superstar for the Jackrabbits. You, sir, we're talking about how you have. Let's talk about grandkids for a second. You have a new one?
1.5.
1.5.
One on the way, yeah.
6 grandkids?
1.5.
1.5? Oh, I thought you had
I would
more
really
than
be
that.
blessed if we had 6.
You're good to 6. All right. Okay. And you're
We're not stopping at 6. We're going to go beyond that. But go ahead.
You're a pretty good babysitter, you were saying?
I love babies. I love the sounds. I love the smells. I love feeding them. I love it all. And I'm serious.
I believe you.
Now here, being a grandparent is unexplainable.
All right, very good. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Midco Sports Network football schedule. We get it going next week. We've got a football game on Thursday night. We got the Jackrabbits as well this year. We'll got that coming up next on Benchwarmers.
Benchwarmers on Midco Sports Network is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome back to Benchwarmers here at Midco Sports Network. We are jazzed to get the high school and the college football season going. We've got a TV game coming up next week already on the 24th with Dakota Wesleyan playing at Dakota State in Madison. We'll have that game on live, and then we get to our high school game of the week on the 25th. And then we get to the Jackrabbits. They start on Thursday this year against Duquesne. This is an FCS program that was very good last year at 8-3. That's our first game here on Midco Sports Network. We got Drake, we've got Northern Iowa, North Dakota State, Illinois State, that great home schedule coming up this year on Midco Sports Network for the Jackrabbits. What's going on this week to get ready for the start of school?
Well, we got a week of practice. We're going to give the guys Thursday off just to kind of rest up. Trying to get our freshmen on board so they know where their classes are, get them their books and stuff. Because it is a transition. It's a huge transition. We laugh about it, but there's a lot of things going on in their world.
All right, Eric, you guys got guys coming back next week?
Yeah, our guys will come back as well. And, we don't got quite as, that turnaround that Coach Stig does, but they're getting to class and things like that too. So it'll be pretty fun.
All right, Tyler, the first John Stiegelmeier radio show on the 28th, and it'll be every Monday again this year.
Every Monday, and we get off and running with football broadcasts on the 31st, and excited to get going for what has the potential to be one of the biggest years in SDSU athletics history. No pressure, guys.
Exactly. Huge expectations, and just a quick thought on Duquesne. This is a good program in this first ball game.
Really good program, and playing a good league, and they got a great running back. They have the freshman of the year as a running back, so it'll be a challenge.
All right, Jacks and Duquesne on the 31st to get it kicked off here. Thank you guys, appreciate it very much. That's it for Benchwarmers.